All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, back to talk about a brand new movie that's coming out that we all know I'm about to talk about, and that's Dark Phoenix, the final chapter in the 20th Century Fox series of X-Men films, I guess, unless you count New Mutants, which I guess you kind of have to, but for the franchise proper, this is the last one. And with all the negativity around this movie that I have myself, going into this was dreaded. If my ticket wasn't free, I wouldn't have gone. Why was I there day one? Because it was free again, and I just had to I had to be there for the death rattle. And just to give like some, context, if you haven't watched any of my reviews or seen my comics or looked at my t-shirts, then you don't know that I'm a big X-Men fan. I've been reading X-Men since I was in high school. Started reading near the end of Chris Claremont's run. So this was past Phoenix Saga. In fact, on accident, because I've been organizing my comic books, I have I can reach over here and pick up, let's see, this is X-Force number 16. What else do I got over here? Let's pick out something cool. Yeah, like right here is the X-Men number 1, the big freaking pull-out version. I've got some of my oldest Uncanny X-Men. I got Wolverines, I got everything, okay? And I also grew up with a little show called The Animated Series, which at the time gave me what I can only think of as internal brain orgasms whenever the first time I saw Jubilee getting saved by the X-Men in the mall and the Sentinels attacked. I was just so happy. My little nerdy ass got the X-Men cartoon, and when I first heard this, so I have history with these characters, and I still love them today. And even though the X-Men books are kind of in disarray, except for maybe Mr. and Mrs. X is a pretty good book. Astonishing X-Men wasn't too bad, especially the first run. But lately, the X books, well, X-Force is also making a good comeback, but they're all getting canceled because they're doing a reboot. Well, anyway, I'm just saying that I love it. And in this X-Men cartoon, right, they took 5 episodes. Now, I don't know if you can see it here, but right here, that bottom part, those bottom 5 episodes, 5 episodes are just for the Phoenix Saga alone. Not Dark Phoenix, the Phoenix Saga. An animated cartoon from the 90s gave Jean Grey a 5-episode arc to deal with the beginning of her powers. Then, in the next volume, right here in the middle, they gave Dark Phoenix 4 episodes. 20, 40, 60, 80. That means 80 minutes for the Dark Phoenix story and almost 2 hours, about 1 hour and 40 minutes for the Phoenix Saga. On cartoon in the 90s, they were able to get that done. And then X-Men comes around in 2000, which, looking back, and X2, I love them. But they also just jumped too fast, and they were trying to get a trilogy done, and they wanted to get the Phoenix out, and they just jump, and they rush through things, because in the end, these are people that don't give a shit about the material. They can say they do, but they don't. If they did, they wouldn't do it like this. And if it was the studio's fault, well, then why hasn't somebody said that? But fine, so they blew it with the first time they did the Phoenix, right? So when this finally gets talked about here, all these years later, because it's been a fucking while, man, they say Dark Phoenix. So again, rushed. So we had X-Men First Class, which I really, really liked. And then there was X-Men Days of Future Past, which I fucking loved. It's got problems. All X-Men movies do. None of them are flawless. And continuity is a bitch. But those two movies gave me faith that they were headed in the right direction. And then came Apocalypse. The first movie that I didn't see at the theaters because I took one look at that and said, nope. Nope. I let a lot of shit slide because of my fandom. And now I wanted to like this shit. And after Last Stand, the last two movies really redeemed themselves in a lot of ways. But Dark Phoenix came around and it just, I was tired of it by then. I knew about we all knew about the Disney deal coming through. We just wanted these movies to be over. Logan came out and gave us Hugh Jackman's Goodbye, which was a fantastic movie. One of the greatest comic book movies of all time. And so once you lose Wolverine, once you lose Logan, and you're left with Sophie Turner as Jean Grey, and the kid from Ready Player One is Cyclops, and I don't know who Storm is, and the guy that actually makes me miss the original Nightcrawler, because this Nightcrawler is actually creepy looking. Like, I've never been like creeped out by Nightcrawler in the comics or in the animated series or anything. But this dude, I don't know. Although he wins me over in this movie a little bit, but he's just weird looking, man. I'm not going to go into that. I don't want to dig a hole and be like saying he's ugly or something. He's just weird to me. He looks really weird. And with all the negative buzz and people saying how hilarious it was, and people were like crapping on it, and I was ready to, every trailer I saw, every line that was said, and people like putting their foots in their mouths, and just, and me feeling like this was Fox like setting a fire to the X-Men so that when Disney got their hands on it, it would be a tainted property. Just like when Disney had Marvel stop making Fantastic Four books and started like kind of getting rid of X-Men stuff for a while. I felt like this was tit for tat. Like, hey man, if we got to give them back this stuff, if we got to sell them this stuff, let's sell them damaged goods. And so going into Phoenix Saga, I thought what they were doing here was damaging the IP and damaging the story so that it would never get told properly. But first off, that would mean that it's never been done properly. And that's false, because again, the books, you want to read the X-Men saga, check it out. Check out the Chris Claremont, the 4-year run. He's done longer than that, but I mean the 4 years that it took to tell the saga in the comic books. Or you can like watch Comic Book Girl 19, where she gives you an in-depth whole thing over the Phoenix saga. Or you can just go and try to find these. And you can get the whole Phoenix Saga. If you like X-Men, stop worrying about what these movies are doing. Read the books and pick up the cartoon. It's that simple. If they're not going to give it to us, we can find it in other ways. And again, they don't give it to us here. But does that make this the worst X-Men movie ever? Honestly, no. Does Sophie Turner not do it for me as Jean Grey? Absolutely. She didn't do it for me in Apocalypse. And I mean, as soon as they cast her, I was like, nope. She's just the it redhead right now, and she's on Game of Thrones, so that's why she's got this job. And they can say that she earned it and all this blah, 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 blah. But what this movie really was, besides just not getting the story right, not understanding Phoenix powers, like this is the Matthew Vaughn created series, series. He may not be directing these movies anymore, and it may even be, what's his face came back to direct, what was it, Apocalypse, I think he did. Whatever. He started it, and this is the finish of it. And we all know Jennifer Lawrence is checked out. We all knew going in that she was going to die. They show it in the fucking trailer. Again, why I'm not watching trailers anymore. So it didn't matter. And her whole performance shows she doesn't give a fuck. And the ex-women line. Was that the line that everybody was talking about? Because, I mean, it is laughable. X. You better call it X women. Jesus Christ. Sheesh. Couldn't be more subtle if she was said it while she was swinging a fucking wrecking ball. It was unwarranted, and they make Charles the villain again. Sort of, you know. Oh, it's his fault for saving the world from her, and then she finds out over a look. Trauma is trauma, but they really forced it with the dead parents, and then finding out that one of them's still alive. So it's full spoilers. Damn it, I didn't say full spoilers. Sorry, I'm saving you some trouble here. So full spoilers. You know, you see it in the trailer, right? Her parents freaking flipped the car and everything, and then they go into space and this whole thing, and it's just kind of clipping along, and it's really loud. The fucking IMAX is blowing me out of the theater because it's like between the crash and the space shuttle and the Blackbird and everything happening in space for like the first 15, 20 minutes, it was just sound like I thought my eardrums were going to burst. But then they show like the Phoenix Force, and it is like somebody said, the bad guy, the big bad cloud from Green Lantern, except red. The only time you see the Phoenix Force in this movie, the way it looks, is at the freaking end. You couldn't even get that, right? Why did it have to be a jumbled up ball? Like, why can't somebody just go, anybody got a picture of the Phoenix Force? Oh yeah, it's like right on her fucking shirt. Draw that. That's it. Really, really big. And then it hits her. No, man, what I want to do is I want to show somebody like that. I had this screensaver of like all this jumbled up stuff. Why don't we do something like that? Let's talk about some of the positives. James McAvoy's good, and Michael Fassbender's good, but they've been good in all of these. Even if some people think they've, you know, Fassbender was kind of mailing it in or whatever in the last, this and the last one. I thought both of them were doing good. They were doing way better than they needed to do. Way, way better. And when there were fight scenes, when they were showing their powers in this movie, it was actually cool. And Cyclops got to do some, you know, like do some cool stuff with his stuff. And Storm's powers were kind of cool. I mean, yeah, we had to deal with the guy with the dreadlock knives, which was laughable. And the other girl that he was having a hard time fighting, her psychicness. Like, come the fuck on. Charles Xavier's the most powerful telepath on Earth. Jean's more powerful because she's got the Phoenix Force, okay? So understand that. So he's having a little hard time with some little girl? No, and I don't mean that sexist. I mean, literally, she's a nobody. She just walks up and suddenly her powers are giving him this really hard time. But like I said, when they were fighting and it was quick and fast and not often enough, that stuff got me. I was interested, but I was interested like if I was watching a video game or a story that I didn't really care about. I didn't care about it. That was the worst. That's the worst thing that you can be, really. It's just indifferent to it all. And I was just indifferent to it all. She goes brutally bad, like right away, and then she runs around trying to find answers. And then they get to these Dabari. I'm sure people are going to confuse them with the fucking Brood, which just came out. I thought it was going to be the Hellfire Club when they showed Jessica Chastain, but no, it's these aliens that come and it's like, what? What? Okay, so you're going to screw up the Dark Phoenix saga, fine, but you have to, if you're going to screw it up with the Hellfire Club, not with some fucking aliens, man. I thought she was Emma Frost. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but come on, like, seriously. Some goofy looking aliens when they have, like, the X-Men, you know, these there she is with her powers. But this was what the Phoenix Saga, Part 2, The Dark Shroud. This is, look at this. Okay? Got no audio on it, but I mean, they're doing the same thing. They're up there trying to rescue the astronauts. Now let's see, we should... Okay. So she's doing, saving the day. She's up there risking it all. She's trying to keep the ship together. All that stuff. And she falls down, and then boom, you see the flames. And there, look. A phoenix. I know I just showed you was just like a second of it all, but I mean, I don't know what's so hard about this. It's like, why? I mean, I know that they could only do one more movie, right? But I mean, why did it have to be this? Why not do something more personal like Logan did? Take it back to the school. Bring it small. Take it down, like whatever. But it's just throw everything at the kitchen sink and don't really care what happens on the way out. Quicksilver, it looked like they were going to give him a bigger role. They didn't. And I don't know, like all these people, it's just wasted opportunities. And, some people could say that it's Disney's fault that this happened, but like I said, I wanted this property back in the right hands from the get-go. As soon as I knew about this deal, I was like, fine, I don't care how long it takes. I know that they'll do it better. No matter what the people think about how woke Marvel and Disney are making things and how, subverting expectations and all this other crap. But I still want it in the hands of Marvel. What else do we have to talk about this? Again, it was so like, who gives a shit? I mean, even Jean's, they think she's dead and then they show the Phoenix thing at the end. But it's like, it doesn't matter because there's no more. I mean, at least it was kind of cool that Fassbender and McAvoy get to have one last little chess match where they're talking to each other. But other than that, there was like no real epilogue. It was just, she's dead. The school's going. They call it Jean Grey School of Institute. Hank's the lead guy. And I mean, yeah, I guess fuck it, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. Because this isn't made for me. This isn't made for somebody that can turn and grab whatever. Like, what is this? Weapon X from the Age of Apocalypse. Just boom, right here in my, like, it's not made for the people like me that have this like hardcore passion. It's made for the normal vanilla audiences. And no offense to you guys, because you like, I know a lot of people that like the X-Men movies who probably never cracked a book or even accidentally own any comic books, which is also fine. It's just, we're living in this world where they're killing, where our nerd stuff is happening, and now it's come to bite us in the ass. And it's been homogenized, and it's getting worse. And like somebody said recently, and another YouTuber said, maybe it's time for us to go back to the corner, go back to the outside, go back to being outsiders and have nerd stuff being outsider stuff again. But I don't think you can put the genie back in the bottle or whatever that saying is. So, and it's been going on for a long time, but I just wish that people that actually cared about the properties were in charge of the properties, the writing of them. And that's why this needs to end. Honestly, New Mutants, come on, do they really need to release that? Do they really? What are they going to recoup? Because it's got, and figure this out. So this movie has Sophie Turner, right? And the New Mutants has Maisie Williams. And I'm not dissing Maisie Williams. I think she's great, but it just, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too hard at stuff. But most of the time in this movie, I was just bored. I really had to fight to stay awake for a couple of times. And not because I've been burning the candle at both ends and I worked all day. I sat down in a nice, cool theater and was ready to rock this out. But after a while, it was just like, what just happened? Huh? What's Charles sorry about for now? Honestly, I kind of wanted this to have a high body count where everybody just gets, killed. Because they sure do, almost kill, like, everybody. But again, it's like, because you're not making anymore, so fuck it, right? But no, they don't even take that chance. And Sophie Turner as Jean Grey just is so drab and dull and boring and not full of life like Jean is. Jean is as ray of fucking sunshine that it actually causes, tooth decay. And, Cyclops has a thankless job of being Cyclops. They've never been able to make him interesting or complex or conflicted. He's just the guy that comes in the door at the last second. Jean, my love, I said I'd always come back to you. But in the end, it's like I'm not even offended. I thought I'd be offended. I think I'm numb to it all because I just want it to be over. And like I said, I just wanted to be there to see the death rattle. And I saw it. And it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It just was kind of a bit of nothing mixed in with some cool stuff that's a little too late to put in your movie. It actually made me go, oh, well, if they've been doing this the whole time, bring on some more movies. But they don't. They don't have people that care about the plots. They don't care about the characters. They don't care about that they're rushing through things. What are the biggest complaints that fans are having right now? Character and rushing things and writing. Sophie Turner could have been Meryl fucking Streep in this movie and it still wouldn't have mattered because the script sucks. So anyway,